And
Can't
we're
take
going
it
to
back.
keep this in a college realm.
Ooh.
The Fighting Irish
Got the shirt
yesterday
on.
or Saturday defeated number one Clemson 47-40 in double overtime. What impact does this have on Notre Dame? And we're also going to give our reactions to the fans storming the field, which is a shit show. But first, the impact on Notre Dame is huge because if we lose this game, we're probably out of the playoff. We're easily out of the playoff, and we don't get another shot to play Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, probably most likely for the conference championship game. Looking at the game, though, I mean, Travis Etienne, breakout, probably the only running back, probably top two that's going to go in the first round. You could throw Harris in there. Etienne is electric, and without Lawrence, he picks up the slack greatly for this offense. Him and Lawrence go hand in hand with the best player on this team. And Notre Dame held him to his lowest career rushing total as a starter, 28 yards on 18 carries. From what I saw from the Notre Dame defense, I'm going to give a couple breakdowns about it. Physically beat up the offensive line. I mean, we all know that their run blocking is not the best, but they still have overall one of the best lines in college football. Completely beat up on them. And for all the talk that, the Tigers are going to be so much better when Trevor Lawrence returns, we all know how great Trevor Lawrence is, but that does not change the fact that the offensive line was in full health and their star running back was healthy, and they had two wide receivers that bowled out in this game in Powell and Rogers. So it's not like they didn't have the weapons. And DJ played great and led an 18-point comeback last week against Boston College. So to say that this team is not still amazing without Lawrence would be a fallacy. I mean, I know he brings this team way higher above the margin, but this was a hard-fought game by the Notre Dame defense. And Wusu, outstanding game for him, put up 10 points for Dame. And Kyle Hamilton was great. Alexander was great. All in all, if they can get Kyron Williams started like they did yesterday against a good Clemson team on offense for Notre Dame, and the defense can play like it did yesterday, this is easily a team that could be competitive for the national championship.
I must.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. One thing about Notre Dame, they're like an on and off team. Like one year they're good, next year they're terrible. But I'm not really gonna buy into hype. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt that they beat the number one team in the nation, in the Clemson Tigers. But I'm just gonna be frank with you guys. I believe if Trevor Lawrence would have played this game yesterday, trust me, it would have been a whole different ball game. Feel me? I believe like he would have made the right throw, the right reads, and trust me, there would not have been no overtime. There wouldn't have been no double overtime at that. At most, probably an overtime, but I believe that Clemson would have come out victorious.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because when you look at it, that's kind of where I'm coming from too in the same way. I'll admit, Kenny C, you're going to laugh at this, but Notre Dame usually has a delusional fan base. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm just stating facts. Like,
yeah,
they have a great history. I get it. But a lot of Notre Dame fans think they're on the same level as Bama. A lot of Notre Dame fans think they're on the same level as Clemson. And, like,
unfortunately, no.
yeah. And, like, they're not. Like, we all understand that. But at the same time, I actually will give Notre Dame a lot of credit because the academic standards to get into that school are just crazy ridiculous. And people give Brian Kelly a lot of hate. But at the same time, a lot of Notre Dame fans act like he's done a bad job because he can't beat a Bama or he can't beat a Georgia in a big game. But at the same time, the fact that he has Notre Dame knocking on that door each and every year, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And the fact that they beat Clemson, like I picked Notre Dame to win the game because I know Brian Kelly was a good coach. And I kind of just thought as good as DJ is, and he's phenomenal, man. Some of the balls he was throwing were just super impressive. I kind of just looked at it like, you know what? I'll give Notre Dame a lot of credit. And, they going forward, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a game that they had to win. I'm gonna just come straightforward with it. They couldn't have lose this game and look at me with a straight face. They couldn't. All right, this is a game without Trevor Lawrence that you have a backup quarterback in there who almost gave the game away the week prior to Boston College, and you had to win this game, especially if you wanted to be in playoff contention. Now, shout out to Brian Kelly. This was his biggest win of his career. And Ian Brook, I was impressed with Ian Brook, the quarterback. I thought he played the game of his life. He played a great game with 1 minute and 48 left on the clock. Ian Brook drove the Irish down. He led the Irish on an 8-play, 91-yard drive, highlighted by a 53-yard pass to Avery Davis to get the Irish in the red zone, which resulted in 3 plays later Brooke connecting with Davis again on a 4-yard pass for a touchdown to tie the game with 22 seconds left. I thought he showed poise on that final drive. Obviously, a couple fumbles early for Clemson that resulted in scores for Notre Dame. That obviously was costly. You got to protect the football. And all in all, I thought it was a great Saturday night game that I watched full through and through. And I think it's time for us to get to – well, before we do, I think when this team meet again in the ACC championship, that's going to say a lot about how good of a team Notre Dame is when you're going up against a guy like Trevor Lawrence with the playoffs.
Their defense, they're going to be put to the test. And
with Clemson real quickly here, I don't think this hurts them at all. I think – a loss like this. Let's remember the year they won a championship game. I think they lost one game against Syracuse. At Syracuse a couple years ago, I think with Deshaun Watson, and they was able to go to the national championship and win it. So I don't think this loss hurts them. I think their schedule was easy. Let's say they beat this team again in the ACC championship game, then they're going to be able to still make the playoffs. So that's my thoughts.
And I was just going to add in, if Notre Dame can play the way they did and be able to contain ETN like they did, I mean, Lawrence is obviously great. So the secondary's got to step up because they blew a lot of plays and they could have easily gotten blown out if Lawrence was in. So that's just what I'm looking for, if that defense can get it done. Because we know the offense can do it against Clemson. But I'm very eager to see what happens.
And might as well move on as we have 6 minutes left to go, 5 minutes left to go. Let's give our reactions to the Notre Dame fans storming the field. Listen, when I saw this happen, I was immediately shaking my head. All right, I don't know what got into fans, but it comes to a mindset that we have here in society is that, listen, we'll take our chances. That's what young people these days, especially college students, think is that, listen, we'll take our chances. Oh, coronavirus is out there, I'm taking my chances. And that's exactly what those fans did when they decided to bombard and storm the football field, knowing that we are in a pandemic and that the whole daggone campus may test positive because of our actions. We're going to enjoy our moment now and we'll figure it out tomorrow. That's the mindset that they have. I don't understand why there wasn't no rules put in place to prevent this, knowing that you were going up against Clemson without their starting quarterback. You had to prepare as if you knew you was going to win the game. So put, measures to make sure that this doesn't happen. So I think this is much blame on the school than it is the fools, which was the students.
I agree. And I won't be surprised if next weekend Notre Dame game get postponed due to the virus, due to the number of cases of virus about to happen.
Yeah, Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. All I'm going to say on this was like similar to the Justin Turner incident after the World Series, like letting the overall emotions get the best of you. I know there's two different things because, while it's huge that Notre Dame beat the number one team in the country, it hasn't been done since like 93, I believe. Obviously the Dodgers finally winning the World Series, you could put that as even bigger. But all in all, we're in a pandemic, so you have to look at yourself and say, am I going to let the current emotions get the best of me and risk, one, getting sick and spreading it, and two, just causing panic on the field with the virus? I mean, even the community health expert in South Bend said, like, I just sat there and watched and was just sick to my stomach. Like, yeah, it just did not look good on Notre Dame.
It's the communication, though. Where's the communication?
Yeah, that's what I'll say. That's what I'll say is, like, I don't think anyone should be surprised that this happened. Like, if Notre Dame really went into this game like, oh, we're not going to enforce any rules and the kids are hopefully not dumb enough to do something like this, that is not the right attitude to have. And there were people saying, like, oh, I guess you could say, like, they were wearing masks. Like, I don't know, man. The bottom line is, if Notre Dame let fans into the stadium in the first place, I understand it was only students allowed. I think that should be known, by the way, that everyone on the campus was tested for the coronavirus and you were not allowed to go into the stadium unless you tested negative. Like, I get it, and there were some people saying that, plus they were wearing masks. But at the same time, if Notre Dame let fans into the stadium and didn't enforce any rules, they have no one to blame but themselves.
Absolutely.